So this is it, 4th down, 4 seconds, final play of the game. Rattler throwing to the end zone, looking for Olave, incomplete, no flags, and that's the way it's gonna end. 20-13. Olave on the far side just didn't have enough room to make the catch.
Made a couple stops towards the end, big field goal block, put ourselves in position to have a chance to tie the game right at the end. And ultimately, the story for us and the lesson for us is you can't beat yourself. 13 penalties, a lot of mistakes in there that we just got to clean up and put ourselves in a much better position to be successful. And so we got a lot of work to do. That's the beauty of this thing. There's a lot of work coming forward to us, and we'll move the page and get ready for San Francisco here shortly.
Kellen Moore, after he dropped his debut as the Saints head coach, 20-13, the Cardinals win it. I wonder what the convo would be like today had Juwan Johnson caught that 3rd down ball at the end of the game. We also don't know what they would have done. Might Moore have kicked the PAT and gone to overtime? Would he have gone for 2 in the win? That's whatever the case may be. That certainly would have led and driven today's conversation. But one of the things that I'm fond of saying is winning masks deficiencies and losing magnifies them. When you win, you're more likely to ignore the things that went wrong and you want to praise the things that went well. When you lose, it's the antithesis of that. I told you all throughout the offseason. I am not going to sit here on Mondays, and scream about results, wins and losses. You're not going to see red-faced rants. I'm not doing that this year. I'm not. I promise. Because I have no expectation of this team of being any good. You have quite literally invested the least amount of your salary cap of all 32 teams in the NFL in the most important position in organized team sports. There's no team in the NFL that has invested less percentage of their salary cap in quarterback than the New Orleans Saints. You do not have a quarterback on the roster that's won a game, ever. So how can we possibly have some realistic expectation of this team doing anything of significance? I don't. So I'm not going to yell about it. They're in a big-time rebuild, reboot, call it whatever you want, of the franchise, of the roster. What I am wanting to see throughout the course of this year is progress with your young players to see if you have cornerstone talent upon which you can build for the future. That's what I want to see. And there was some of that, which I'll get to. What I am interested in is the process of how these games play out and what's developing. And I will criticize things that warrant criticism. For example, you were flagged 16 times in this ball game. You just heard Kellen Moore say 13 penalties. That was 13 accepted penalties. You were flagged 16 times in this game. This is the National Football League. You had an illegal formation on a field goal in the 4th quarter when you had 5 men in the backfield. That is the type of thing I would expect when I go watch a 7th grade CSAL football game, that you don't know how many people need to be on the line of scrimmage. Like, not in the National Football League in the 4th quarter of a Week 1 game. That's inexcusable. Those are the types of things that cannot be tolerated. Cesar Ruiz was flagged 3 times. Former first-round pick, who is objectively one of the worst starters in the NFL at his position. He is a starter. He is objectively one of the worst starters at his position in the NFL. We have a large enough sample size now to know that. Those are the types of things that can't happen. The timeout situation at the end of the first half. Maybe Matt Flynn joked about it on Twitter with me. Maybe he didn't. Matt said maybe Kellen Moore didn't realize he actually had the autonomy to call him. Maybe forgot. But at the end of the first half, that is an inexcusable situation. For those who weren't watching the game, Arizona can with the clock is stopped with 1:57 inside of the 2-minute warning. They run a play to convert a first down with 1:52 remaining in the first half. So they have a goal-to-go situation in 1:52. The Saints have all 3 timeouts. They could have burned one right there. You say, oh, well, you're not going to burn it on first down. Well, remember, it's a goal-to-go situation. You're not thinking of, oh, you want to wait until second down so you could burn it second, third, and then fourth, or have one for the remainder. You burn it right there. Absolutely, because they could score in the next play or 2 plays. And it's exactly what happened. But instead, the Saints didn't use their timeouts. It runs all the way inside of 30 seconds, and the Saints end up taking a knee and running out to run out the clock in the remainder of the first half. Had the Saints used their timeouts there, they could have had a possession at the end of the first half. Who knows? We saw Spencer Rattler very effectively operate a 2-minute offense at the end of the game. Maybe you get a field goal before the end of the half. By the way, that Groupie's shanked 37-yarder, all else equal, at the end of the game, you're not needing a touchdown. A field goal would have won you the game. And one argument I've heard to the contrary is, well, maybe he just doesn't trust his quarterback. Then he does not need to be playing. Spencer Rattler is still a professional quarterback being paid in the regular season of a National Football League game. You cannot give away possessions. Did you watch Buffalo and Baltimore on Sunday Night Football? I understand that's Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. But every possession in the National Football League, where the average margin of victory in this league is somewhere around 3 or 4 points, every possession matters. You can't just, Kellen Moore doesn't need me to preach this to him. He's the head coach of the team. But you can't just say, well, we're not going to use our timeouts. We're not going to have this opportunity to have a possession right now. That's inexplicable. After the game, this is what Kellen Moore said about not using the timeouts.
Yeah, we're close. We talked through it. Getting the ball at the end, the start of the third quarter, they still had all 3 timeouts in their pocket, and so we felt like we'd let it play out and then see on our possession, see if something popped there. And if something popped, we'd keep it alive and put ourselves in position. But definitely something that we talked about.
Unacceptable. That's unacceptable. It is unacceptable to just go to the half sitting on all 3 of those timeouts and giving away an opportunity for possession. By the way, the reason every team defers except for LSU with Brian Kelly, who loves to receive. Now, in fairness, this year, both times they've received, but the other team won the toss and deferred because that's what you do, because you want the opportunity to go back-to-back at the end of the first half and have the extra possession in the second half. And lo and behold, look at what happened. The Saints had the opportunity to go back-to-back at the end of the first half, start of the second, and they had the extra possession in the second half, which damn near gave them the opportunity to win the game. So it's why you do it. But you spat in the face of that opportunity. That's unacceptable. A couple of things, though, that there were good things. Look, the 10-play touchdown drive in the first half was fantastic. You did not face a third down on that 10-play touchdown drive. Now, Spencer Rattler threw an interception that was wiped out because of an illegal contact away from the ball. Sometimes you get lucky. That was one of those where he threw a bad ball that was intercepted. He got lucky, got another shot, led a touchdown drive. I thought Alvin Kamara's touchdown run on that drive was outstanding. He looked like vintage Alvin Kamara. There were things where you responded well in the face of adversity. Right at the start of the third quarter, Benson rips off the 52-yarder, and the defense stiffened and held him to a field goal. By the way, Isaac Adam, you have got to get Benson on the ground or out of bounds. It is unacceptable that you let him rip off a 52-yarder when you've got him pinned on the sideline. That goes to the conversation we're having. Like, do you believe Isaac Adam is an NFL starting caliber cornerback? Probably not. Which is why you're not going to win a lot of games when you got dudes like that running out there. And listen, hat tip to the Cardinals. Listen, we talked about McBride last week. He's probably the best tight end that not enough people talk about. He was an 1,100-yard receiver a season ago at tight end. On that drive in the first half, the drive that finished with Marvin Harrison Jr.'s touchdown, they converted a 3rd and 10 and a 3rd and 12 on passes to McBride. He's fantastic. Hat tip. Like, he's going to be a problem for a lot of teams. But there was other good. Cam Jordan. Increased workload with no Chase Young, 1.5 sacks on the day. One of the highest graded defenders on Pro Football Focus. How about Brian Bresee's block field goal? That block gave you look, that would have been a 2-score game. Game would have been over. The block gave you the opportunity to put together the late drive to go and potentially tie it. Arizona, after the defense got the stop, the Saints defense got the stop on Arizona's first possession, Arizona scored on 4 straight possessions after that. Finally, in that third quarter, the defense started to get off the field, which when you're down 20-10, you're down 2 scores, like, you can only get back in the game if your defense starts getting stops and giving the ball back to the offense without the lead growing. Makes sense. #math. Your defense started to get off the field. But the flip side of it there was not great. Like, Kai Kroger had a beautiful punt that he angled out at the 6-yard line. Awesome. You've got him pinned deep. There was a holding at the 1-yard line. Looked like you might get a safety. They ruled it at the 1-yard line. In the end, you let him off the hook. They ended up converting 2 first downs, 9 plays, 35 yards. They flipped the field on you when you were trying to make a comeback when you had him pinned deep. We talked about Juwan Johnson not coming down with that ball on the 3rd down play at the end of the game. at some point, listen, Spencer Rattler, like the receivers have to make plays to help him out. I mean, he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not a quality starting quarterback in the NFL yet, if he ever will be. But sometimes guys have to make plays for him. Chris Olave had a drop. Juwan Johnson, make that contested catch. Vele on the sideline when they drew the PI. Yeah, they got the PI. Make the catch. Make a contested catch. Just something that these receivers did not help their quarterback with. Very disappointing to see Taliesin Fuaga leave the game with injury. See what the update is there. The flip side of it is I thought Kelvin Banks was great. Rookie, left tackle, first-round pick, 9th overall, making his first career start, and you go an entire game without calling his name? Yeah, pretty good. Go be quiet over there at left tackle so no one ever talks about you. That's what you love to see. A quick thought on Rattler and his debut. He didn't cost you the game, but I think it's pretty clear he's not capable of winning you the game. 2-minute drive was great. He didn't put the ball in harm's way. Pro Football Focus charted 2 turnover-worthy plays. That's a stat they do, like where it's whether it's a turnover or not, it's a play that deems it could be turnover-worthy. He only had 2 of those. For a young guy, I can live with that. Protect the football, give yourself an opportunity. They only charted 1 drop. Pro Football Focus did, and they offer what they call an adjusted completion percentage, so that adjusts for throwaways and drops. Spencer Rattler's his completion percentage in the game was not good. Spencer Rattler he completed. I'm sorry, thought I had it. He completed 58% of his passes. The adjusted completion rate from Pro Football Focus was 68.3%. So you take away the drops and the throwaways, they say he actually completed 68% of his passes. So, okay, that's manageable. He was also pressured. Pro Football Focus charted 14 pressures for a rookie quarterback. Well, a second-year quarterback, first time as a full-time starter. That's a lot of pressure for him to deal with in that situation. Line's got to be better. We'll see if they will be as they move throughout. But all things considered, the defense played well. You were in a position to try to tie or win the game at the end of the game. In the end, you ended up losing. I think this is going to be a pretty familiar blueprint of games we see throughout the season for these New Orleans Saints. You just don't have the quarterback capable of putting you in advantageous situations throughout to go win the game, and you have a lot of B and C players that are starting for you right now. The key is I want to see Kelvin Banks be really good. I want to see Kool-Aid McKinstry prove he can be a number 1 cornerback in the NFL. I want to see these receivers start to make some contested catches. Those are the types of things. I want to see Kendre Miller continue to run hard the way he did on Sunday against the Cardinals. Those are the types of things I want to see from this team throughout the year, regardless of what the final score says. Now, that ain't going to be that way forever. Like, when you get to next year and you start to see more expectation, like, you're going to have to start winning these games. But for now, are you seeing building blocks? And there were a few of those on Sunday, despite the loss. And someone please let Ellen Moore know that the timeouts are there for him to use.
Ellen Moore.
Can we send him a cookie bouquet, Muse? Can we get a cookie bouquet sent to Airline Drive in Metairie? Ellen Moore, care of the New Orleans Saints, from After Further Review, where it says, "Dear Ellen, congrats on your debut. Remember, you can use timeouts." Can we do that?
The cookie bouquet is what we want? Edible arrangement, something like that? Yeah.
Cookie bouquet. Let's do that. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.